Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome to the politics section of the course. Here we have a quick intro video of why politics matter, how it impacts currencies, etc. Let's get right into it. So, why does politics affect FX? Why does it affect currencies? Well, politics can have a massive impact on currency prices for a variety of reasons. A few of the reasons is the elected ruling party, right? Whoever is currently, running the country and who's in Congress, Parliament, Prime Minister, right? Whoever is elected and shaping the country, they decide domestic economic policy, right? What does domestic mean? It just means inside the country, right? If you think of foreign policy, you think of, outside the country. Domestic just means inside the country. So, domestic economic policy, right? Obviously, they shape, the economy. What can private businesses do? Taxes, blah, blah, blah. They decide all of that. That can have an impact. They decide on foreign economic ties, right? Who are we trade partners with? Who are we not trade partners with? Are we going to cut ties? Whatever. They decide all of that. And they decide political ties to other countries, which can, partially sometimes cause tensions, and that affects things. Right, there's a lot of stuff there. Governments can pass fiscal policy tools, and we have a whole video on fiscal policy coming up. But essentially, fiscal policy is the brother to monetary policy, right? Monetary policy is what a central bank does to help the economy. Fiscal policy is what governments pass, right, like Congress or Parliament, to help the economy. Could be like stimulus, bailouts, other things like that. That will have an effect on the economy, and thus it will affect the currency. And governments, with this one little blue bullet point, can pass laws on taxes and other things that will have an economic impact. Now, granted, this is pretty rare that it has an impact. Really, the two main things you need to be concerned about are elections when it comes to politics. It's going to be elections, and it's going to be fiscal policy. Those are the two things that usually are the ones that impacts currency prices in the politics area. When it comes to this foreign economic ties, political ties, usually that only affects things when there's tensions. And then I consider that more under the geopolitical events category, right? Like trade wars, stuff like that. Rather than the politics section, which is why we're not really talking too heavily about that here. We're mainly talking about elections and fiscal policy. So, politics and elections. Why elections? What do elections have to do with it? Well, because each party, right? We have an election, either for Congress or a president or Parliament or a prime minister. Each person or party has their own bias and agenda, right? And they could be radically different than what is currently in place in the country, thus shifting the country's currency and, economy to reflect a better or worse future condition of the country, right? So whatever's currently in place in the country could be very different than what a certain person wants it to be. And when they're elected, they will start implementing those laws and things to change that. Now, whether that's good for the economy or bad for the economy, that's up to them. But that is going to change the economy, and it is going to then obviously affect the currency with it, right? So, what do elections have to do with it then? Well, remember that currencies move in anticipation, aka before a better or worse outcome actually happens, as long as there's a likelihood of that happening. And pricing in events is no different when it comes to politics and elections, right? It all works the same way. They are all just themes, right? This is just going more in depth into a few themes like elections and fiscal policy, but it's all themes. They're all just things, and they all get priced in all the same way, right? So keep that in mind. This isn't different than what we talked about in the basics section when pricing in events, how to trade a theme, right? Because this is all just a theme. But I'm just going a bit more in depth because there's some nuance to it, right? So when it comes to elections, that's really the starter point, right? If let's say you have a president, right, or a running for president, somebody who really wants to shake up the economy and really increase, I don't know, increase taxes. Who knows? They want to do something. They have some crazy ideas that will really, change how the economy is. Well, the election to elect that person is where it all starts. That's where it is decided whether they will have the power to do that or not, right? So that's why elections matter. Because if that person, is expected to win, the currency is going to start reflecting that, well, in this, situation I just came up with, worse outcome. The currency is going to start reflecting that. So it's going to move in anticipation, right, before they even get elected, if it's likely that they will get elected. And we'll go more in depth in this in the next video when I talk about how to trade elections, but essentially that is why elections can matter. Not every election will matter, but some definitely do. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Quick little introduction of why politics matter. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next lesson where we will be talking about how to trade elections in depth. See you there.